about University of Ghana if they have women's commission or gender commission. I don't know. But here in the university, we have women's commission, which most often than not is being chaired or, headed by a lady or a female. What is your take on that? Do we have to change the name of the commission to make it, let's say, gender commission, to bring not equality, but let's say equity, or yes, to be able to represent both gender? Like, okay, so it's gender commission, so a male can actually go in for it or a female can actually go in for it, so that the activities of the commission will not be tailored towards only females, because most of we gentlemen or men over here also face a lot of challenges. It's not only ladies that do go through some sort of challenges. Yes, I do appreciate that fact that ladies have a lot of challenges, but is it time for us to change the name of the commission to pay way to embrace all the genders? Bright, please, are you still there? All right, it seems we've lost Bright, so let me move or forward this question to Edwin. Edwin, please, you can unmute yourself and give us your opinion on this. All right, but Edwin, have you charged upon the CI?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
All right. So before you give your submission on the question that I just asked about the Women's Commission, please read the CI for us and let us know what is in there when it comes to campaign.
Okay. Yeah. So when it comes to campaign, candidates should be given duration at least a week to undertake campaign. There must be the campaign must be in a manner that will maintain peace in the university. Any candidate whose campaign activity happens to violate the rights of students or cause some amount of tension among individuals or groups will be disqualified. Any candidate still campaigning after the stipulated time for the end of campaigns will be punished, and all campaign activities must cease by 2 days to elections. This is where my interest lies. All campaign activities must cease by 2 days to elections. And it was not that open for us to know which campaign process are we talking about now. The easy was actually, from my suggestion, was supposed to make it clear. You shouldn't share flyers. You shouldn't actually go to people DMs and be reminding them to vote, electorate to vote, and other stuff. Are these all campaign? If they are, then I think some of the aspirants have actually violated the CI, with which we must take a careful look at that. Because I heard you ask Mr. Bright about the question of sharing flyers. Is that one also a campaign? Okay, one way or the other is a reminder to another person too. It's a campaign process that the aspirant is doing. So with that one, are we supposed to make him known to the aspirant that, hey, please, per what the CI is saying with regards to campaign process, you are not supposed to do this at this time. You were supposed to end 2 days ago. And if you are doing it this time, meaning you violated it. So there might be something like writing a petition against the person. If that's the case, that's my idea from this year.
This is what the CI actually says when it comes to campaign. It says that campaign must be halted or stopped 2 days to elections. But this is the case where we get candidates spend. And the one thing I wanted to find out is when we say campaign or when we talk of campaign, does the CI define what campaign is?
No, the CI didn't actually define what campaign is.
So that goes to say that the submission rights gave might be right. It could be like a reminder.
Yeah.
Call it a reminder.
Yes, please.
Until there is any regulation or definition to what a campaign is, we cannot really ascertain if these messages being sent to us by candidates are truly it constitutes campaigning or reminding voters or electorate to actually go and vote for them.
Very true.
All right. So now
So
back to you. Edwin, I'm
I
listening
think
to you. Yes,
yeah.
I think you're about to say something.
So Mr. Bright stated that campaign from his side during election processes when other aspirants are painting the fellow aspirants black in someone's DM or an electorate's DM. That one is a campaign process for him. But to the extent whereby an aspirant is reminding an electorate to go and vote. Have you voted? That one is okay, but go and vote for me. I've been seeing such, and people have been sharing all this with me that this aspirant actually said I should go and vote. From the CI, we were all told the campaign process had to end 2 days before election. And as of yesterday, you could see aspirants reminding electorates to go and actually vote for them. That one is actually a campaign process. And when we relate it to the CI, most of the aspirants have violated it, with which we have to take a careful look at campaign when it comes to CI. And I think there should be a review of this campaign process in the CI so that we get to know what kind of campaign process is the EC actually stating in the CI. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. So, to the question I earlier on asked about the Women's Commission, should the name be changed from Women's Commission to, let's say, Gender Commission? Because we realize that over the years it has always been females going in for this office. Is it because of the name? And this actually leads to the neglect of factoring men or women onto sorry, did I say women? Factoring onto board men, and so it's like the Women's Commission is supposed to be a commission that actually is the parent of the council. So how can the parents just segregate against the children? Okay, take one gender and go against the other gender. So I just want to find out from you your take on that. Going forward, should there be a change in the name? Because I know there is a committee doing the constitutional review. Maybe they have to consider this.
I agree 100% that there should actually be a change on the name, Women's Commissioner. We are advocating for girl empowerment, empowering women and other stuff, but actually Women's Commissioner, because the president is actually working for both genders. But what role is the women commissioner actually playing when it comes to this executive body? What role is the women's commissioner playing? Because I was privileged to be sitting at the vetting on Fred Newton Binka School of Public Health when they were vetting the aspirants. And I had one question that showed a committee that will be set up by the women commissioner, should it involve males? And I was getting answers that no, there shouldn't be any male regards. I don't know if they have a constitution with which I stand to be corrected if I get it wrong. And I got to understand from the aspirants when they were being vetted, and they made it known to us that with their constitution, a committee that will be set up by the women's commissioner shouldn't involve any man. And I was surprised with that. Why should they involve any man? Maybe a man is having that competence to also help the committee to establish the appropriate policies in helping the executive body. And you're actually saying that there shouldn't be any male in that committee, with which I disagree to that. And if there should be any changes, I think I will go 100% for the gender rather than the women's commission, because the gender actually gives us a broad definition of the roles of that rather than the Women's Commissioner. Because if you hear Women's Commissioner, meaning it's solely for women, and there usually be any male, with which this noble university actually has both genders in it. So if you are actually doing, maybe you are actually picking sides at this point. And I agree 100% to the gender rather than the Women's Commission. Thank you.
Now let me move to Bright. Bright, are you still with us? Bright, you're still with us. All right, so to the issue on board now, we are discussing the fact that I don't know about you, your campus, Legon, if you have women's commission or gender commission. First of all, let me ask that. You have women's commission.
Right, right.
And what's the mandate of the women's commission?
Well, basically you champion some specific, projects, affairs of women. But their focus is mostly on the women on campus. So any activity, any program that is specifically related to women, the Women's Commission will take charge of that.
I think even here in this university too, we also have a similar commission or same commission that is also named Women's Commission. Don't you think that it is, should I say, a partial representation of gender? Don't we are men also need some form of representation? Because yes, I appreciate the fact that women do have a lot of challenges. Equally, men also do have some sort of challenges. So wouldn't it be prudent for us to have a commission that is named Gender Commission, which is gender neutral, so anybody can be on board, so that it can actually help us when they are actually making activities. It covers the two genders, the two main genders that this country's constitution recognizes.
Well, the idea of having a gender commission is a very good idea. It's welcomed. Even in Ghana, we have Ministry of Gender, Women, and Social Protection. It tells you that in as much as they acknowledge all genders, they make specific provisions for women. Because there are some issues. I mean, on campus, University of Ghana campus, the Women Commission, they embark on specific projects such as, donating sanitary pads, embarking on menstrual hygiene day programs, girls talk shows and all. These are things that are very specific to women. I acknowledge the fact that when you have gender commission, it will look at both sides. But if you have a gender commission and a man wins that portfolio, you realize, or a man is appointed, you realize that it will be a bit, dicey for attention to be shifted more to the women. So I think that having women, even NUCs, they have women's development, NUCs, and you can talk about USAC. All of them are having specific, portfolio for women. It's not a bad idea to have a gender commission. At the end of the day, even if you have gender commission as the umbrella, that we have two genders, so at least one should go for the man, one should go for the woman. So we'll still divide it in the long run. So if the men also want representation, perhaps we can look at amending constitution to make some provisions for men. I wouldn't say we'll have men's commission anyway. It doesn't sound good, and it's very novel. But then, if indeed we want to argue about having equal representation, then it shouldn't be ignoring or removing the Women's Commission. It should be also having or putting measures in place to ensure that men will also have some representation in terms of, in quotes, men commission or whatnot. But women's Commission is still something that I believe is relevant, because even in Ghana, in as much as we have Ministry of Gender, right? The Women's Commission is something that we shouldn't scrap it. Even if we amend the constitution and make it gender commission, there should be some subcommittees, okay, that will deal with issues of men, that will deal with issues of what, women. We cannot merge the two together, because for all you know, when you are going to urinate, there's one door for women and there's one door for what? For men. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you so much for your submission on that issue. I must acknowledge the presence of Harris and Clola Prince. Prince actually is the former PASAC president, and Harris also a former acting SRC president here in the University of Health and Allied Sciences. Gentlemen, you're welcome to our discussion. All right, so let me go straight away on this. We are here to discuss the election and possibly predict the outcome of the election. And I know that by now you've been monitoring the election with key lenses, as you have 4 eyes over there. I know that you've been actually, as myself, you've been really watching it so much well. So with the 4 candidates, the presidential candidates, I just want us to talk about them. Do you see any one of them having upper hand over the others or emerging the winner? Or you think there's going to be a runoff?
Please, who is the question for?
Please, Harris. I'm sorry.
Oh, all right. Thank you very much. And as I said, thank you once again for having me. It's always a pleasure being on your network. And thank you for the good work you are doing. And I must say that time I forgot to commend your accent. I would really like to learn your accent from you. That being said, personally, there are 2 of the candidates that I know on the personal. That is Pius, who is my very good friend and a senior brother, and then also Fadil, who is also a very good friend of mine. Taking them individually, I believe that having been in the SRC's highest position before, any individual that is given appointment to hold that office, or even that stands to say that I will want to contest for this very high office, qualifies to hold the office. So that is established. But and I say that because it's basically a managerial position, and you get to learn most of the things on the job, right? So let's take away all those campaign promises that they have made. In fact, the truth of the matter is that most of them will not even be able to accomplish even up to 25% of what they have set out to do in terms of SRC and whatever. So what you have been seeing is that you come into the office, and whatever issues come up as you are in office, you try as much as possible to resolve them. So that's how it has been. So everybody can actually hold that office. And I don't know if you want to speak to individually. Pius, I know, has experience, because when we came to school, I believe they were our seniors when he was doing PA then. And he was even a Speaker of Parliament then. And those batches, one thing that's very peculiar about them is that they were not people who were fearful. And fearful are used in a very, in the context that, there are some student leaders who bow to everything that management brings up. So anything management says is yes, sir, yes, madam, yes, sir, yes, prof, yes, doc. But there are also some people who fight for the interest of the student body. And those people that we came to meet, that is Pius Badge, they were those kind of people who were, and they taught us not to be timid. So personally, because of that, is one very good gentleman that I've, even though most of his leadership time I had left school, but I actually followed to see that he did quite well. And the reports from many students that I've spoken to also suggest that indeed he is one person that could also be come out as the next SRC president of UHAS SRC. I believe the contest is between these two, but we cannot call it, and I believe it might even go into a runoff, because per the constitution of the UHAS SRC, you must have 50+1 vote. I believe so. And I doubt anybody in this very contest for this election will be able to come up with 50+1 vote, seeing the way campaign went.
So much for your submission on that for us. Let me move to Prince. Thank you so much. Let me move to Prince. Prince, are you there? Prince, please unmute yourself. All right, it seems Prince network is not stable. So, Kenneth, back to you. With I think we've discussed the presidential aspirant or candidates enough now. I want us to move to the NUTS. You see, it's also one key position or office to hold. Now, here is the question: when NUTS comes to a president comes to power, you realize that most of the activities is kind of, should I say, subjected to review by their SRC. Meanwhile, when you take other campuses, NUPS happens to be, solely to say, an independent body on its own from the SRC. They manage their own things like that. But here in this school, or in the council, you find out that the NUPS actually needs the approval of the House on certain things. Sometimes even the president has to take a decision. Is that the definition given in the Constitution? If yes, is that what it's supposed to be? I mean, when you take the national NUPS, are they supposed to submit to the SRC? Because you realize that most often it's compromising most of their works, and they come to office and you go to them and they'll be like, oh, we were not able to do this because we didn't get approval from the SRC. We were not able to do this because we didn't get this from that. Is that supposed to be the way? Or news is not supposed to be that way, but we are getting it wrong over here?
All right, thank you very much. Let me extend my greetings to my boss, Master Harris. Last time we were having a conversation whether Sandwich students were part of SRC or not. We couldn't finish because he was watching the match. I mean, I wish that we have a better day to talk about that one. Much respect. We appreciate the work. We appreciate the work that you have come to do in UHAS. And I mean, we hope to do more and more with your support. We have also seen your recent support the other time when there was a criminal case and all of that. I mean, this is appreciable, and then we hope to see more in the future from our alumni body at large. All right, so back to the question of NUCS and then the SRC. Well, for some of the universities I know, per my search and per my conversations that I have had, Kumasi, that is NAST, UCC and other places, they have appointed NUCS reps. And so these people represent the national NUCS at the SRC level in local schools. What that means is that you will not vote for NUCS in your local SRC. For instance, in NAST, you will not hear that we have Obuasi NUCS or we have main campus NUCS or something. They are representatives of the national NUCS. Now, this is it. We have Student Representative Council and we have a president, in our case, federal president. Whatever you do is subjected to Parliament. And so if you say that, I mean, they are being oppressed by the federal executives, I do not think
not really
that.
Oppressed. I said under the control.
Yeah, still.
Also, listen, we have other officers who are really under the control. I wouldn't say control, the supervision of it.
Well, still, my point stands that.
No, I just want to find out if that is supposed to be the case, because I'm told that.
No, that is not the case.
That's not.
That is not the case. We have a parliament that every plans, everything that any executive wants to do, anything that anybody that is enshrined in the constitution, any rights enshrined in the constitution or whatever they have to do, they just bring it before parliament. Parliament, work on it and they get it done. Okay, but because we have a federal treasurer who works on that, a lot of times there are assumptions that because they have their plans, they want to oppress or sabotage some of these people's plans. But of course, we have parliament, and the parliament is the sole body that decides on people's decision and not the mere executives that are around. So basically, like I said, for me, NUCS is a mother association for all student leaderships, all student groups, all student associations. All right. And so to me, I feel even NUCS is more larger than SRC, but they have reps in every school. And for some schools like UCC, UG and other places, they appoint them. They go to parliament and then they appoint them rather than they voting for them. Because if you vote for them, they have voting power. All right, they have that kind of power that the people are expecting things from them. And that is what brings about this kind of division, this kind of controversies and confusions. But largely, I think that they are different entities on its own and they operate differently. You bring your decisions, Parliament works on it, they get approved and nothing else.
All right, thank you so much. Let me also again appreciate the presence of Esther Chura. Esther Chura is currently the whole local news secretary. And she is a very, eloquent and great debater as well. So, Esther, if you can hear me, please unmute yourself and add your submission as the local news secretary for the whole province. Please add your voice to the discussion on table. How should the local news operate here? I mean, is the constitution giving the local news the free mandate or the free role to operate here in this university as an independent body? Or do you think, as Kenneth would say, Kenneth actually put it in my mouth that I said it's being controlled by the president, but not the case, as it's being supervised or kind of, not really controlled. I don't know the better word to use, but it's kind of under the, I wouldn't say control, I really say control, under the supervision of the SRC and perhaps the SRC president. What's your take on that? Do you think that is how it should be run over here? And is that what is happening in other campuses or on other campuses?
Can I go now?
Okay, so thank you very much for this opportunity. And I want to go straight to the point. On this issue, I think the first thing that we have to notice that definitely when we have two potential strong bodies like this working for the same goal, there's definitely going to be that clash of powers. Separation of powers becomes a little bit difficult. So that is how I'll put it. It's just like the judiciary and the legislative coming together to execute a decision. So definitely there's that problem with separation of powers. And that is what happens with the NUCS and the SRC on campus. And like Kenneth said, we have voting systems in place that people actually buy forms and then go into power, bringing out their policies. So definitely the student populace would expect something from them by virtue of the fact that they were not appointed, but then they've just been put there when they ask the people to vote for them. So it's supposed to be a coexisting something. So they are supposed to work hand in hand. One is not supposed to suppress the other. And I don't think that's the case that we are pushing at the moment. But then it will always come that we would have problems with separation of powers sometimes because the NUCS is a
Hello, Esther. Did you say that is not the case over here? Does that statement mean the SRC is actually supervising the local news, or is not giving the local news its total freedom or independence as it is supposed to get?
So our freedom is not tied to SRC. Let me correct you on that. Yeah, our freedom is not tied to SRC. Freedom that is in terms of work and how we should do our things. Okay, But then, like Kenneth said, the processes, whatever plans that you have for execution has to pass through the parliament. So the parliament is the decision-making body for implementation or rejection of whatever policies that NUCS has. I hope you understand my point. And it's like that in the school. However, we have some policies or some processes that I think personally as the secretary needs to be revised. That is, as independent as NUC seems, in terms of financial approval by the parliament, I think the proportion that is being given to NUCs to operate as an independent entity in the university is not much appreciable. Let me put it that way. So in that sense, you could say it is not giving the entire liberty for operation, because if I'm supposed to get 15% approval of probably the budget that I have, or 15% to be allocated to whatever I want to do, which I think is not enough, it's not going to give the liberty to do much in terms of financial obligation wise. Yeah. But then when it comes to performing duties and obligations as NUCs, the SRC is not in any way taking the freedom or having control over NUCs. I hope that point is well established.
So much. So I really appreciate the clarification and your contribution to this. Let me move to Bright. Bright is actually. Let me move to Bright. Bright is actually on from University of Ghana. I don't know how NUCS also ran over there. So if Bright can actually give us, a bit of comments on this issue before I actually come back to Prince.
I would love to hear a specific question about.
Okay, so it has to do with the operation of NUCS. Okay, over the times, you over here you see or hear some NUCS executives, local NUCS executives, or let's say the president, putting some blame on the SRC at large that they weren't able to do this and that because the SRC failed to do this and that. And per what I have known so far, NUCS is something like a universal body on its own, and SRC is also a universal body on its own. Where does these two bodies meet? And should it be the case that the SRC should, in a way, control? I don't really want to use the word control, but should it be the case that the SRC should have a control over the NUCS? I don't know what is happening on your campus and how it is being done over there.
All right, great. So at the University of Ghana, we have local NUCS president. So the local NUCS president basically also have some programs that they run for the benefit of University of Ghana students. The local NUCS president here at the University of Ghana is appointed by the SRC president and approved by General Assembly. Here in USD, I understand they also have local NUCS president who is being voted for every academic year. And at the local level, the SRC controls it at the local level. So the local NUCS president they embark on specific projects, passport acquisition projects, making some scholarship opportunities available to students, and other important activities at the local level. So I would say if the SRC want to have control, then they should capitalize on what? The local NUCS. If they have a rep at the local level at UHAS, that person can contribute massively towards the student body at UHAS. Also, when you have the local NUCS rep, if there are any benefits from NUCS at the national level, definitely some will trickle down to your institution. So they don't only champion activities at the local level, they lobby for some specific projects or programs to their local, to their university. So that's how it works here at the University of Ghana.
I think I have to update our viewers on the current situation with regards to this year's election that is happening today. Polls closed in about some almost 40 minutes ago, and the EC will possibly join us here to give us a provisional declaration of the results. That's possibly. But then we are also hearing people. We are not obliged to mention names, but people are really taking the lead, and we are all happy for all the people that actually made it through this election, and pray that they will actually take the mantle and handle it well, steer the affairs of students, and bring us much more better life and comfort on campus. That's what is happening. That's what we're receiving. So very soon, in no time, the Electoral Commissioner will join us here and give us a review of the entire election, and possibly a provisional results or declaration. Now let me move to Harris. Harris, you served as an acting president here in the university. Now there is one main question I just want to put it to you, that when you were serving as the acting president, I don't know how long you served that office for, but I just want to find out.
9 months.
Pardon?
About almost, I think 7 months or 8 months.
Okay, that's enough. That's enough for you to experience enough in that office. Students over here do face a lot of challenges, of which the S House, the council, is aware of. We go to the post, we elect a president, a candidate, a leader, a student leader to lead us, to channel our grievances to administration, so that, we can actually have a comfortable life over here. But sometimes, I wouldn't say always, sometimes close to almost all the time, some of these issues, when it gets to the SRC, we don't get feedback. And then you hear later on that administration. So I want to find out from you, since you actually held that office for close to 7 months, what at all prevents presidents from not being able to deliver? Is it from administration or their own inability to be able to voice out the voices of students?
All right, thank you very much for the question. Before I jump into that, I would like to quickly comment on the local NUCS question you asked, if I may.
Go ahead and do that.
All right. I heard our lady speak, and she said that they are independent of the SRC and all, and that is very right. But there is a truth that we must all agree to, and that truth is that without money, you can't do anything. That is the truth. That's the underlying statement, that without money, even the SRC, one of the reasons why you as SRC sometimes is seen not to be so powerful as it ought to be, is because we do not have a separate account that students pay directly into, that the SRC or the council can easily access and run its project. We'll have to wait for the university to get the monies into the main account and then decide which amount to send into the SRC's account before you can use it. Now, with that said, you know that per the constitution of UHAS, there is a percentage that local NUCS must have and must enjoy. And up until now, I don't know if it's because the local NUCS executives are not fighting for it, or if it's just because they don't know the power that is available to them per the UHAS SRC constitution. If my memory serves me right, the constitution states that every year 15% of the SRC dues must be given to NUCs, I mean the local NUCs for operation. Now, I have not heard of any instance where this has been followed. If NUCs had this amount of money, this 15% at least of SRC dues that are coming in, or whichever transfer comes into the SRC's account, 15% reserved for NUCs, that the NUCs president of various campuses can say that, look, maybe we divide it into half, or maybe by the ratio of students per every campus. So maybe Hawkway has 20,000 to work with, who has maybe 40,000 to work with. NUCs might become very much more active than we see it now. So I believe that the coming NUCs president should demand for this very provision that is in our constitution, or that is in the student constitution, to be respected. And that moving forward, they will be doing much more than just organizing dinner and then registering health insurance and other stuff. I believe NUCs on UHAS campus can become much more effective than that. And you know, some things are there. Now, coming to your question that you ask, an effective NUCs would actually take a lot of burden off the SRC. Because, let me give you an instance. When we were in school, I believe in 2018, an issue happened where we had to fight for school fees for students, some reductions and co. Then we understood that the way management's approach was, if we went with the face of the SRC, we were going to have a lot of issues. We were going to have victimization of individuals, even if we had gone ahead with SRC Parliament. So what did we do? We went with NUCs. Now, because NUCs is seen as a body that is all over the country, what we did was that we had a directive from national NUCs to local NUCs president. So all local NUCs president had to do is that, I'm coming on behalf of national NUCs to say that.
Okay, so I just have to state this again, remind ourselves that the electoral commissioner will be joining us here very soon to give us his statement on the election so far, possibly give us some kind of provisional. Why do I keep saying provincial? I think it's because we have a lot of province over here. Provisional results. Now let me move to Prince. Prince, are you there? It seems we lost Prince. Prince, are you back? Okay, Prince, please unmute yourself. And I know that you've been following the discussion so far. So on the issue of the local NUCs, it was stated that it's because maybe their activities have been linked to the fact that they have to get a percentage of the students' dues, the dues that we students pay, 15% of it or something like that, if I heard it right, 50%. And it is also because they did not have a separate account. Now here is my question. Do you agree, or should NUCs have a separate account from the local SRC's account, so that whatever amount or portion of the dues due them can be paid directly into that account, and they will be accountable to the student through the parliament? What's your take on that? Yes, Prince, you can go ahead.
Percentage. I think earlier Rich Kids mentioned that it was 15%, and that's not 50%. 15% of the total SRC dues collected. Yeah, so as rightly said,
that's what I mentioned, 15%.
Yes, 15% of the total dues, SRC dues collected. Yes, it will go in a long way to help the local NUCs to be very effective in the various campuses if they are financially resourced. Creating a separate account would help in that extent. But again, it's not just about organizing programs as you would want to put it. The mandate of the local NUCs goes way beyond organization of programs, as is being done, the local, the dinner and the registration of passports and the what have you. It's their mandate mainly lies on actually helping influencing decisions that would affect students, especially when it comes to school fees and other things that will help the lives of students better. Yes, money plays a role, but I think the local NUCS is actually yet to discover its main purpose and its function. It's like they are walking in the shadows of the SRC and not identifying exactly what they are supposed to do. So if you put it in the sense that they need funds, yes, they need funds, but again, they would have to rediscover themselves and find the main purpose of what they're supposed to do. I believe that would go in a long way to help them become much more effective and influential to help students' lives on campuses. Yes.
Bright, Bright, I want you to give your submission on the same topic. Then later on, you give us your opinion on how elections should be declared. Not forgetting the fact that we are working with a constitution here too.
Am I taking the two questions at a time?
Yes, please. You can go ahead and take the two questions at a time.
Okay, so look, indeed, NUCs need some funds to be able to be relevant. Here at the University of Ghana, you realize that, and not only here. First of all, local NUCs contribute towards the national. So each student pays once a day. So sometimes at the end of the academic year during election, we pay grants of 8,000, sometimes 6,000, depending on the numbers, to support NUCs. But then at the local level, there's a budget for the local NUCs. Over the past years, we've had at least, it's a bit, somebody will say it's huge, but sometimes 80,000, sometimes 70,000 budget for the local NUCs for them to use this money for their activities. And it helps them, like I mentioned, a whole lot of projects that they embark on when they are on campus. Financial literacy programs. Recently, they even went further to have a borehole project for one of the halls, and that was local NUCs project. So at the local level, if NUCs want to be relevant, then the SRC should ensure that they allocate some funds. 15% of SRC money for local NUCs. I believe quite a bit too much. I mean, a bit too much. But then if it is Congress or Parliament or General Assembly, they can arrive at a reasonable, value where every academic year, because if it is enshrined in the Constitution, then it's not going to change. It's not going to be the case that this semester or this academic year we are giving you 1,000, that academic year we are giving you 2,000. So there should be a decision that will be binding every academic year that local NUCs should receive this amount of money to embark on specific projects. Because I said 15% is too bad, because you would realize that the UHAS also have something to pay for NUCs. As I said, University of Ghana, where sometimes we pay 80,000, 60,000 and all. So that would be my take with regards to NUCs. And with regards to declaring results here at the University of Ghana, pools close at 5 o'clock, and I'm shocked that UHAS based TV hasn't even given any provisional declaration. We have Radio Invest here on campus, and they even declare the provisional result, even before the EC will release their official result, because right after close of polls, the maximum is 5 minutes. The EC must what? It's a requirement. In fact, we have enshrined that in our constitutional instrument. So when the EC wants to delay, the deputy EC will immediately declare. If the deputy EC is not there, and all of them are not willing to declare, we will override their password, and the engineer at University of Ghana Computing System will declare. And maximum 5 minutes, results are out. It's like manual election. Right after close of polls, we are going to count to declare results. And media houses and not take the results and they declare them. I don't know, I mean, how it goes on at UHAS, whether media houses or stakeholders cannot declare results unless provisional results, unless the EC does. But I'm a bit shocked that 554 on radio, on TV, have not heard the results. So here at the University of Ghana online elections, right after close of polls, we declare provisional results. The maximum is 5 minutes. Results will be declared. And the result is declared by the electoral commissioner. He's having the password. No other authority, not even the dean or no other authority. In an event where the commissioners are not willing, and the word is willing and available, we have enshrined it in the constitution that the engineer at UGCS can override the password because they would build the system and declare results. Thank you.
All right, so thank you so much. On that, I think I have to put something across that UHAS-based TV is receiving reports on the person elected as the president in this election. However, we have not really gotten an official statement, and it is also because we couldn't get a rep at the control room or to feed us with information. But we have received information that Fadel Mohammed, the candidate number 2, won this year's election, but we cannot verify. We cannot verify because we have not received any sort of official information. That is it. Now let's move to a notice that has been sent around because we discussed the Women's Commissioner. That is why I'm actually talking about this. The Women's Commissioner here in the University of Health and Allied Sciences annually organizes Miss UHAS, which is seek to groom young ladies and make them eloquent and poised and all that. Now, over the years, there has been complaints that when the winner wins, all the things that were promised her, it delays before the council actually pays. And this year's winner is facing the same challenge. She has actually released a statement talking or expressing her grievances that she has not been served properly. All the promises made to her by the Federal Women's Commission has not or have not been fulfilled. That is just by the way, because we actually talked about the commission, or we discussed the commission today. We thought it to be very relevant to bring this up as a breaking news that we have received so far. So back to the election and the happenings here in the university. I want to get back to Harris. Let me get back to Esther. Esther, please unmute yourself because I want you to ask this question for me. Answer this question for me. Hello, Esther, please, are you still there? All right, it seems Esther isn't available at the moment, so I will go straight to Harris. Harris, please, I want you to let me know your expectation. Whoever that, if possibly what the candidates that we have heard won, what is your expectation? What is your expectation?
Thank you very much, and I'm sorry I had to go off that way, and I couldn't finish answering the question you asked. And unfortunately, a call came in. I was trying to end the call and I ended up ending the Zoom meeting instead. So I apologize for that. And I don't know if let me take 2 minutes to answer that quickly. You see, there has been a time in UHAS where students or student leaders were not scared of people in management. And it was during that time that student leaders were getting things done in the university. Let me give you an example. The Vodafone SIM and data that is enjoyed by students now in UHAS has been an idea of an SRC president. And his name is His Excellency Pius Afrani. And I happen to be in meetings that we actually lobbied for this to be done. And truthfully, it faced a lot of backlash from people in management. But because of persistence, that was approved. Now, when I took over somewhere May 2019, I set it out to actually bargain for a better package when it comes to that Vodafone package that we were receiving. You know, initially we were having about 1 gig, 1.5 gig a month, some 100 SMS and so on. That's what I could remember for, I think, 14 cities or 12 cities. When we came in, we actually gave a proposal to the IT directorate that we could get a better deal for even a cheaper price. Even though in the earlier stages, we faced a lot of backlash, because of persistence and perseverance, it was approved. And that's how come I believe it's now 5 gig or so, and then 400 minutes to other networks and all these ones. Again, when we came into office, we also saw that there were discrepancies in the sandwich student school fees, and even most of the regular students. And it was during that time, that negotiation, that fee paying for physician assistant students was cancelled. It was also during that time that some 2,000 Ghana cedis was taken off the school fees of SAS sandwich students, and so on and so forth. So what is happening is that we have to get the leaders who can go to management meetings and talk. People who will not be interested in going to stand by the VC and take picture and go and post on their status. People who will not be interested in just being in the good books of people in management. People who would actually understand that they have been voted into office by people who have expectancies, who have expectations. And so this is a training ground for them for national politics. And I tell you, because of the avenue UHAS SRC gave me, when I was branching into national politics, even into communication for the New Patriotic Party, I had it very easy because they had gone into UHAS to check what I was able to do whilst I was in office. So student leaders should understand that this is actually a rehearsal ground for the bigger picture, which is the national level. And so if they fail these students today, the student might not maybe say it, but tomorrow a student might have to recommend you outside the walls of UHAS, and your works will follow you. So let's stop this thing that when you become SRC president, when they vote for you, now all we see is that you have to take picture with people in management, post on your Facebook to know that, yeah, you are the SRC president. That's not the way, right? Secondly, I believe that the person who is going to receive the approval from the student body in this very election also is a duty to the student body to really, really sit down with his team and look at the best way of getting the best result for you as students in terms of school fees. This is very, very important and dear to my heart. It is unthinkable that the amount of money some students have to pay, even for as hostel money, and they still live 4 in a room, 5, 6 in a room, and these monies, when you translate it to other universities, these people's school fees, it is so bad. So I believe that we can do better, or the leaders can do better for students when it comes to the school fees they pay. The school fees is too high. It's way, way, way too high. And I wonder if the leadership of the students, when they go for school fees meeting, because we have representation there, I've been there several times, and I know that sometimes it is hard to push your ideas through. But when you are resilient, mostly they kept in for you. And especially when you are able to find loopholes within the various figures they are using and how they are charging their figures and all, you are able to make your point and get the best deal for students. I believe that even if you don't give students entertainment, if you don't give them Miss UHAS, if you don't give them all the likes, and you are able to get them reduction in their school fees, they will be very happy voting you into power. And that must be done. Now, the last thing is that, see, one thing I don't understand mostly is that before some individuals are voted into power as SRC president and all, they are able to reply to students' grievances. I know there are channels of communication, but look, when you are a leader and people are in dire need of answers, or people are somewhere stuck, students have gone for vocational training, things are not going on right. It's true there are communication channels, but the moment it is because of these individuals that you are holding that office, you must act. You don't wait, you don't hold back when they are calling you. Sometimes you don't pick and all. Those things must stop. The people should know they have been voted into office to serve the good interest of the students.
Harris, for your submission, or you're giving us your expectation. I just want to move straight to, or direct that same question to Bright. Bright, please, what's your expectation? Is there anything you're expecting the next leader of the university's council? Is there anything you're expecting from the next leader?
Next leader as you have, is that a question?
Yes, please. Whoever that of the council, the next leader of the SRC, that's the Students' Council. Whoever that takes the position now.
I think over the past year, here in Ghana, I think one thing that normally happens is using the student funds to embark on programs instead of projects, physical projects. So aside my expectation for the next UHAS SRC president, aside the constitutional responsibilities that are very clear, I think they have their own policies. So normally they work towards the promises they give to students. However, one of the things that I expect is that, first of all, we should look at what students are really demanding. If it's a matter of constitutional review that the entire student body is demanding, then it should be done. If it's a matter of physical projects for UHAS, physical projects that will benefit students, then I am expecting that at least you cannot do that. Sometimes you cannot do that within 1 year. Start something that other those who would take off from you would come and continue. So physical projects, I'm expecting something like that. Also, issues of elections. You realize that if you have had a whole lot of brouhaha in elections, you should have a constitutional review committee or even a committee that would look into matters of election at UHAS to ensure that moving forward we wouldn't encounter issues, brouhaha surrounding election at UHAS. Also, I'm sure UHAS, you have, different campuses across Ghana. If that's the case, then I expect that, because normally those who are in other areas seem to be neglected. Even here at the University of Ghana, we have different learning centers in Koforidua, in Kumasi, among others. And sometimes these students feel that they have been neglected, but then they pay dues every academic year. We should look at them, put measures in place to help them. So in summary, I expect that the president will listen to what the student body needs and do it for them. I also expect to see some physical projects that will benefit UHAS. And also, if UHAS have other campuses in other regions, measures should be put in place. Either, I'm sure they have reps and all, they should do their best, listen to those campuses, put measures in place to accommodate them, to make them feel good. Thank you.
Right. Prince, are you there? Hello, Prince. Prince, are you still with us? All right, it seems Prince is still not with us. So, gentlemen, I thank you so much for your time with us. I want you to, keep following UHAS and keep supporting UHAS. Be with us, and whenever you see something not going well, you can actually bring in your input. Let me move to Harris. Harris, what was your major challenge when you were the acting president? What challenge did you face that you think it's your major challenge in administration?
Thank you very much. Personally, I was not on the good books of management, even going into the office. And the first time I had an encounter with the then dean of the student, when I was introduced to him as the one appointed or approved by the parliament, voted for by SRC parliament to become SRC president acting. He was shocked and he kept smiling because we had some little disagreements even before then. So all these are, but one thing I loved about that dean, that is Dr. Abayi, is that no matter what personal issues he has with you, he would work with you by virtue of the position you're occupying. So that was set. Other issues I had were that there were some other people in management who were who wanted to have too much control in the affairs of students, which, because of the background I was coming from, which was more like a revolution.